From the Cloud Training for Enthusiasts, my name is Patrick Osatomia Igbogun, and today we are talking about Git and GitHub in Cloud Training for Enthusiasts, May 2023 section. So today we are talking about the source code management, SCM, and we are starting with GitHub, Git and GitHub. So as before this class, before this recording start, I was doing an introduction that, for example, I have a file and I call the file automate, and it's a bash file .sh. You understand? And this I'm just giving this example as this file. Okay, now this is CTFE, and this is automate. We did a class. Okay, wait, this is automate. Assuming this is the file, and this file have some instruction that whenever I run this instruction, it will create this file, and I want everybody to use this to work on use this file and improve on it. Remember, we did this class, and yesterday we also did another class. We created a file. We called it what did we call that file yesterday? We called it CTFE file. And in that CTFE file, we created some samples of instruction. Okay, we created a sample of instruction. This was the file we did yesterday. I can say, okay, everybody, I want everybody to take this file that we have. Are you getting me? And improve on it. Maybe I want Solomon to add networking aspect to it. I want Janet Blessing to add storage, so that this file will be able to create storage. Then I want Marvelous to add to it. I want with Marvelous aspect, I want the file to be able to create another file, maybe write another instruction or add SSH key. That whenever I run this file, I should be able to create an SSH key. Are you getting me? Then I will just give different tasks to everybody, but I will tell them that when all the tasks I want you to do, for example, if I want you to create networking, okay, I want everything about the networking of this system to be in the file. You know, there's a networking file rule called df/th. That's okay. I want it to, anytime I run this file, it should enter a file called networking. You understand me? So networking.sh. Then I want what's this guy's name again? I want Solomon. Say, Solomon, your task is anytime you run this file, let's assume this one talks about Marvelous. Maybe I go to Jira, I raise the Jira file. Okay, Marvelous, please. This code that I have, I want you to improve on it. I want you to create all the storage that by the time I run it, the storage of the system should be created into a file. I was okay, Solomon, by the time you run this file, I want the networking of my system to be created inside a file. I was okay. What's the rule? This will provide the networking IP minus PRO minus A. Okay, execute it, pour it inside a file called networking. Call it networking. Okay, .sh. Now I'll say wait, who else is here? Okay, we have one more person now. Ehis. I'll say, okay, here's your task is that all the logs in my system, by the time I run this script, all the logs in this file should be inside a folder. Okay, you will say, okay, yes, sir. You now say, okay, you now had sudo dot what's cat /var/logs. slash system log systems dot logs, something like that. So put it inside, cut it and paste it inside a file called logs.sh. Okay, now you can see one file. This is the file, right? But I want all of you to work on this file as the main file, but improve on it. That whenever I run this file, the first task will be marvelous. Let it provide the storage. On this TF is storage. Then Solomon, work on it. Whenever I run this file, Solomon should make it network. By the time you run this code, if Solomon had this code to it, provide network, then his. So I can give different tasks. So what does that mean? It makes this file that everybody is going to improve on or use. This main file called ctf.sh become the source, right? Is the source because it's already been designed and I want you to improve on it. So because we have already tested this file and it worked yesterday, becomes the source, becomes the code, because the source means this is the main file. The code, because of the things that we recommend, we wrote that were written inside, makes it the code. Then because it's a file that everybody is a completed file that we have used on, makes it the source. Now, management is talking about how you edit, how you remove, how you implement. This is called management. Management means control, edit, delete, remove. That's the word management. So the process that I use to manage this file, to secure this file, is called source code management. Now, there's that source code management, because this is the source. Are you getting me? Where I save it is storage. You understand? How we edit it, how we work together collaboratively on this file so that we can maintain this file and we will not break the instructions that are inside. That process is called SCM. Now, before now, it was a single, I will edit, I will push it to you, you will edit, you push it to me, everybody will edit, we'll push it together. Are you getting me? Then we run it, we test it. That was the process. Now, there was a language that came, some developers, some engineers came together and designed a language called Git. So this Git is very powerful, that if you apply it to any file, it will create different parts. You create different part of that file. It will keep that file that you have, one, and call it a name. Maybe you call it a name called branch called master. You see? Then if, for example, this is the file, maybe we want to work on the file called main. By the time, what's the name of the file again? The name of the file is, let me go to PowerPoint. I think it would be better for me to express this in the PowerPoint. Maybe I created a file like the one I shared just now, ctfe.sh. That's the file. If I run this application called Git on this folder, what Git will do, Git will take charge of that folder. That anything we had or removed from that folder, Git will be monitoring it. So what Git will do, Git will first of all create its own directory. We'll create a directory called .git. Inside that directory, what the application will do, it will save that first file that we that we created. It will save it as main. So what it will also do, it will also provide you the opportunity to start branching, to start creating your own version of that file. For example, I created the first file, it's called main. If Solomon wants to work on this file, Solomon can decide the same Git, the first one we call main. So what Solomon will do, Solomon will create a branch, a version of his own from the same file, and he will call it Solo. Then who again? Blessing will call his our own. Blessing can also create a branch of this same file. Blessing will call our own Blair. Or just let's call it a cool name. Let's call him Blessed. Yes, sir. Marvelous will say, I want to call my own Mav of the same file. So it will look like whenever I download this Git file, this file that has a repository, it will still carry CTFE. But I can now, because of that application, I can, with the application, be changing the version. For example, Solomon own, remember I gave Solomon an assignment. I said Solomon should create, he should add store network to it. So what will happen is that for Solomon branch will have this whole thing and only this place. Are you hearing me? Marvelous own will have this whole thing, but Marvelous own will not have Solomon part, because Marvelous branch will have only this part. Everybody will have their own part because of that same file. Now, I will not have the power to either merge Marvelous own to the main file, merge everybody's own to one single file, or be merging it individually. So you can see, but it will look as if by the time you open that file, what you will see is just one single file, which is ctfe.store. But if I ask the Git, say, okay, please list all the branch, list all the version, Git will now start listing everybody that I've created branch out of it. So by the time I switch from this main, this one is called main. By the time I switch to Solomon, I will only see what Solomon did to the file. I will see what only, if I switch to Blessing, I will only see what Blessing did to our file, and Marvelous did to our file. You can see. So the application is very interesting that it can keep one file, but it will create another hidden directory. And inside that hidden directory, it will replicate as many branches. So, for example, if I switch this branch to Solomon, what it will happen is that you will still be seeing CTFE file, but what you will not see is you will not see Solomon. So this mail will go back. So just like the Git, what Git will just be doing, Git will just be interchanging the branch. It will just be interchanging the branch based on how I change it. So you see, so what Git will do is this. So what Git will do, Git will provide this atmosphere like this to be changing it to, okay, let me do it like this. Go. And let me drag it down. Make it straight. Okay. What Git will do, Git will just be helping us to be switching the branches. Let me turn the arrow. Git will just be helping us be changing the branches. But only one file will be what we will be displaying on the screen. But everybody, you will just be seeing one file. But it's not actually one file, it's 4 files that are inside. But Git will help you to be changing, just like an engine, like a jar, like a jar. Say jar. Let me not be speaking like Nigerian now. Like a jar. You understand? you'll be switching it. Any branch that I switch to will be the branch that will be here. You understand me? So I can decide to merge everybody together, to merge Solomon to main, Blessing to main, Marvelous to main. But even as I merge it, it will remain in main, but this branch that was created will still be there. So you can keep upgrading, or you can end up changing, creating another branch and working on it. Let's demonstrate it so that you can get it clear. I already have the application installed in my system. It's an open source, it's free. Okay, now let me go to my terminal. This is my terminal, clear. LS. Okay, now I have the file here. The file we created, the directory we created yesterday is, okay, now let me create a new directory now so that it will not, let me create a new directory. You can see what we learned yesterday. I'm bringing it to work. I'm going to call it Git. Then in this Git, I'm going to create, no need of creating a folder. Let me just copy this and paste it in this place. Paste. Now, the file, this is the file. These are the things I want everybody to do. So for the sake of clarity, I'm going to remove this part here. Fine, don't forget that we already have this to compare. You understand me? This is what I want everybody to do. Now, in this file, I was okay, Git. Now, if I open this file here, I told you to open file is just simple. Just right click, just go open to integrated terminal, and it's open. Enter. Hope I'm recording. Yes, I am. Okay. If I say clear, what will happen if I say list? You can see it's only one file that I have here. Now, if I say list -L to list everything, to tell me by permission, if I say list -AL, see the reason why we started with Linus, because we are going to be using it here. So now let me bring this thing up. If I say cleared it, right? LS. Now, this file, I have not given this file to Git. I already installed Git in my system. So what I want to do is that I want to invite Git into this folder. Because you may install Git on your system, you have to invite Git into this folder. So, okay, Git init. Well, that's the way to invite Git into a folder. And when I invite Git into a folder, you can see it says initiating an empty Git repository into this folder. You can see automatically told you now there's a file created, and that file is called .git. You can see the .git here. Okay, let me increase my terminal so that everybody can see it well. You can see, can you see it now? In my terminal, let me open the terminal now. The terminal. So what I did was, let me just increase it just for once. Okay, it's better now, right? Can you see my screen? Huh?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. Now, if I say ls, you see that it's only one file is still there, despite I've invited Git. But for you to know that there's already Git inside, if I say ls -AL, you see that there's a folder called .git. So because I've initiated Git before, it was just this ... because there are some files that are inside a folder that helps you to navigate, move around your system. It's always there. But you can see this folder was not there. Now let's go inside this folder and see what Git is doing. If I say cd.git, now if I go inside, you see it created head, hooks, config, description, object, refs, and info. All these things are the tools that Git will use to manage your file. You understand me? I think, let me see, cat head. I think this head is a folder. Is it a folder? Let me see. Okay. Now, cat head is saying And from this reference, which is a file, he said, I only have one version of this file. And this version is called main. That was what I was trying to explain to you when I was doing this. I'm saying that this file that I have only have one version. The version is called main. Okay. Now let me clear it on my screen. If I say ls again, you see now the configuration, if I want to, because Git is an application, and any Git, any file, any folder that you invite Git into, that folder ceases to be an ordinary folder. It becomes a repository. The difference between a folder and a repository is that most a repository is a folder that you have committed an application to monitor or manage for you. So if you say a GitHub repository, meaning that there's a GitHub application running inside, right? If you say a Git repository, means there's a Git application running inside. Then, a GitHub repository is also known as a Git repository. Just like the hub, the word hub means there's a storage somewhere that you can actually save a file that you've already given to Git to manage. It becomes a GitHub. You understand? So a GitHub repository, meaning that file, that folder, everything about that folder is 100% controlled and managed by Git. Like this is GitHub. This is a GitHub folder. If I move out, you see, this is like a normal repository, this is like just a normal folder, but because there's already a application inside that is managing everything that takes place in that folder, makes it a repository. So in case somebody asks what is the difference between a repository and a folder, just tell them that ls-al, you can see there's a git.git file inside. Now, let me create a branch. Watch. Now, Solomon now wants to work on this file. So what Solomon will do, Solomon will say git checkout. Well, I want to send all the syntax to you. -b, which is create a branch. Checkout is used to move from one place to another, like checkout, check in, check out, check in, you know. Check out, -b means branch. Let me call it solo. That was the name we said Solomon would call the folder, right? Let me be sure so that we not miss it out. Okay, Solomon will call his branch solo. If I say enter, you can see it says switching to a new branch called solo. Now, if I say ls, you are still going to see the same file. But meanwhile, at this time, it's not that same file. It has switched. Now, if I had to do solo, maybe I announce, okay, this is the file. Watch now, the same file. Just watch this magic. Let me move this thing down. Now, what did I say Solomon we had? Solomon we had this file. It will call it solo. Now, I come here and move to this line. Move to this line, and I had a branch. I call it Ctrl-V solo. Then I save it. Watch. Now I'll go back to my terminal. Then if I say ls, it's already, if I say cat ctf, let me be sure. You see, solo branch is there. Good. Solomon branch is there. Good. Now let me move in. Clear. Now what I will now do, I'll say, okay, Git, I've added something. Let me to hold it, commit. I want to commit it to you. Despite I've just added to it, Git will notice that something has changed. If I say Git status, meaning Git, what's the status of my file? He said, wow, I have created a branch, but the branch is not tracked. I've edited this file. It's not tracked. Okay, what I would now do is, okay, Git add that thing that I added to this file. I can either call it dot. If I say dot means yeah, but if maybe I want to specify the file that I added it to, I say git add anything, any changes that I've put on that file, add it to the name of the file, which is git.lfe. But if it's so many things I have added, maybe it's a folder, I'm adding many things to the folder, we just use dot, means yeah. Now, if I do that, I say git status again, Git will tell me, okay, now I have given that file that I have edited, I have staged it. That's why it's saying it's now in Git memory, in Git cache memory, and it's staged, but it's not yet saved. Now, for me to save, I will now say git commit, mean git, please hold this thing. The name, why did I will need to tell Git what the things that I added to it, why I added those things. That's called commit message. -m means message. I'll say commit Solomon task. Then I will just press enter. So git commit -m, meaning the message Solomon add. If I press enter, you see, he said now what he's saying that I have committed that changes that I've done to that file. I've committed it to the branch of Solomon, and I name it Solomon task. If I say okay, clear now, let me clear the screen, and I say git status. It will tell you there is nothing, there's no changes that are made to this file that have not been committed to the branch, that the tree is clean. Then if I now say okay, clear. Now, okay, now let's look at something. Now, if I say git branch, what I'm trying to say is branch, git, how many branch do this file have? -a. Git will tell me I have just one branch and the main branch. So if I say git, like, okay, now, if I say git checkout, okay, what happened was that first time we created this file, we created it on a plain empty git. So git will not see any other branch. You only see only this branch, because it's saying the only branch it has here is this branch. So meaning Solomon branch is the main branch. Okay, now I say part main did not match any file known to Git. So what I would have done the first time is that when I created that file, I would have mentioned it. So main, I would have committed, but it's okay. Let's go back to, let's still go back. Let's create another branch now. Let's call this branch git checkout. I'm coming. Hold on. Interruption. So if I say git checkout -b, meaning I want to create a new branch, that's why I say git checkout -b. But if I have already created the branch, I don't need to put -b. Let me call this one main. Enter. Now I've created two branches. If I now say git, how many branches do I have here? -a, Git will tell me I have two branches. I have a main branch, I have a branch called Solo, right? But the thing is that because Solomon was the main branch that I'm checking out from Solomon, what will happen is that these two branches, it will carry what Solomon will have edited. Now I can decide to remove these things that Solomon have done. And then I'll now say git, I'll now say ans git. Now I'll save it. I'm not asking git, what is the status of my file? Git will say, I've removed something from the file. I've discarded some changes, but I've updated it, but I've not committed it to Git. I'll now say, okay, Git add what I have done here, dot, I can extend my turn to you. If I can either say here, since it's just only one file, I can put it here. or I can say CTFE, either one. So Git, we had it, we staged it, but it has not committed it. And I say Git commit the message main created main branch. Now, see, now he said one of the file, one insertion, I delete two things. So if I now say Git status, Git will tell me, well, for now, I've committed it and there's nothing new. Now let's see Git branch -A. You say I have two branches now. Watch. This is one of the reasons why I say we should do this thing first. Take note of this file. Do you see this file now? Now, because I've installed Git, that's why it's telling you. He said 4 minutes ago, I've deleted Git tags because I installed that app. You may not see this one in your screen, but if you install that, plugins to tell you everything that is going on, you'll be monitoring. Now let's compare this file. Watch this file. Just watch this file. Now we are going to compare the two files. This one does not have Solomon here because I've deleted Solomon. And let's switch to Solomon branch. I'll say Git checkout. Git checkout Solomon. This checkout Solo. Please, it should be the same name. It has switched to Solo. You can see automatically he updated what was in the Solomon file. But if you look at it, it's still the same one file. He did not create two files. The same one file, but he created different branches and he hid it in folder. So he's just switching from one folder to another. This is what is happening. This is what Git is doing. Git is creating, this is the file. So he now created a folder. Let's call this the main file, the file, one of the file. He created a folder. And he called that folder .git. He created a folder and he called the folder .git. So what he is doing is this. What's the name of this folder that we created was cloud training for enthusiasts.sh. So it has any branch, the branch that you see here, because this whole folder is managed by Git. This whole folder is managed by Git, both the .git and the file. This is the file. Understand? So this is the branch. So what Git will do, you start creating different version inside this .git for. The first one we did was main. Main. Then the second one is what? Solo. Second one is what? Solo. Let's call this, let me take this one out. This is the name of the folder, .git. Now, the second one is called for Solo. Then if I create, the more branch I create, all the branches will be inside this .git. So any one that I'm changing, what Git will do, it will come here and pick this one and put it here. If I switch to this, right? So what I wrote in this main will what we'll be showing. But if I switch to Solo, what it will do to move out like this, and it will also come here. You understand me? So Solo file will be what people will see. Then immediately I say, okay, no, I don't want Solo. I want to create another branch. Maybe I want to call the branch Marvel. Control D. Call it Mav. What will happen is this. If I also switch to Mav, what will happen? Mav file will be here. But take note, the first file that you work on becomes the main file. In this case, you know, we are supposed to create a main file, but we created solo. We committed solo first. That's why solo in this case is the same thing as main. But I only just created another main called main. So this is it. So what is the function of this thing? When you are working with developers or with everybody or working together, we can all actually work on one file and have different branch of that file. Hold on. We can all work on one file and have different branches of the file that we are working on so that we can collaborate. You understand? And even as we are making changes to the same file, to the file as we create our branches, the main file that we created from will still remain intact, untouched, so that everybody will can trace where we make our changes on. Now, we can now decide to merge these two together. Can I decide to merge these two together? To merge these two. So, you know, if I merge these two, meaning what is in this place, what is in this place will collapse, will not be in one file. You understand? So, but in every commit, there's going to be a message. So, if by the time I merge these two together, these two becomes one. You know, the word merge together is actually tautology, right? By the time we put these two together, or by the time we merge, that's actually the right word, the right grammar. By the time we merge them, they'll become one. So, you know, if immediately we merge them, this main one will not carry what was in solo and what was in stock. So this process of you asking somebody to merge your file of your own version to the main version is called PRO, pull request. It's called a pull request. So what we always do is this: we will make a leader, one of the developers. Okay, you are the lead. So anytime somebody wants to merge to this, so you raise a request. When you make a request, the request will be approved and be merged. When the request is merged, teaching becomes tough. You understand? So instead of Solomon to now come and be mentioned again, what Solomon will do, Solomon will pull this one that has been merged and create a branch out of it and start working with the branch. That's why whenever you are working on Git, you have to always do Git pull. That's the first thing. The reason why you do Git pull, so that in case if anybody have updated the repo, you understand, it will be able to give you the updated one, because there are two ways you can manage your Git. We have the local Git. I think we understand this part, right? We now understand what is a pull request, right? We understand what is a pull request, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then now let me talk about some terminology that we use in Git. We have pull, we have push. Okay, now let me give you the difference between all those things. Now, we have two ways to manage this Git folder. You know, now this folder now is in my local system, right? It's in my personal system. That's why it's called local Git. It's in my local system, because why it's local. But I can decide we can decide to have a storage, a collaborative storage, or we can decide to use a public storage that Git has created for everybody to use. You understand me? That storage it's what we call a remote storage or a hub. So we have two types of ways to manage our Git. The Git we have in our local system is called local Git repository. But the file that we have, the folder that we have somewhere that everybody can manage, everybody can access remotely, is called a remote storage, a remote repository. So, but Git is so intelligent enough that if you commit everything to Git, you link this your local to your local and your remote together. The Git application, as far as you are online, will be comparing all the changes you make in your local and make sure that it's the same thing or is in line with what you have in your remote. So this remote storage is that's what they call the hub, because there's an application, there's a storage that the Git provides, which is also called a hub. A hub, a hub is just something that you click, you type, you subscribe into, or you just use to manage your system. A hub, like when they say something like something is a hub, meaning that it's a single unit that from that unit you can share the way they access it. That's why it's called hub. There's just a difference between a hub and a switch. But a hub is just a single unit that everybody can connect to and use. You understand? Like this is a hub. Do not say this is a hub. This is not a hub. So a hub is it's remote. Anybody can connect wherever they are. So I can decide to keep my file now and keep it inside the remote repository. I was okay. Instead of me to be sending you file from email and from website, sending you folder, a repository, I can say, okay, I have this hub. Go to this hub and take your file and create a version out of it. So the process of the act of you taking this file into your system is called cloning, because actually when you are cloning, you are actually just, meaning of clone. Clone means you just take a picture, the same thing that is inside, you are just replicating exactly what is inside. It's called cloning. When you hear the word clone, means you are just replicating. So let me write all this terminology here so that let me bring it here. Yes, the word called clone. So when you say Git clone, what Git will do, Git will just go to that repo and pull everything that you have and the same way and put it in your system, including the git.hub, including the .git file. Now, there's another word called pull. Pull and clone is almost similar. Just that a pull is just like the what Git will do. Git will look at what you have in your local system, and will go and look at what is in your remote system. If there's changes in between, Git will pull the changes that was made on that branch and all the branches that was created, it will pull it into your local system. So that's the word pull. If you hear the word push, we already understand the word push. Push is you are just from what you have your local system, you are pushing it into your remote system. So pull means you are comparing what you have your local system and you are updating your system, just like the form of the word update, Git pull. So if you say Git push, you are what you have in your local system and you are pushing it inside. You understand? So that is the two words. But before you can push and pull, the branch you have in your local system must correspond with the branch you have in your stuff. Otherwise, you have to create the branch. So, but you have to, first of all, the process of you joining your local system and your remote system together is called configuration. That you use the global configuration, git config. You have to create an account like a normal, this a remote account, just like a normal Gmail. So you have to create an account, which also you have to authenticate the account, and you have to know how to manage this account. I think that's what the next thing we're going to do, how to manage this account, how to create this account and manage it, and how to relate. So it's very easy. So there are so many syntax which I'm going to share with you, which I will recommend that you guys, I'm going to share it as in all the syntax and the explanation of what he does. Try and practice it this week. You understand me? Like we already have a source code. You can create a GitHub account. In your GitHub account, push and pull, rebase. Maybe you have created something, you want to commit it to what you've done before. Maybe two people have committed two things. You have to rebase. You have to check different grammar, different word. You can delete a branch. You can delete a commit. You can reset. You understand me? You can revert. So I'm going to share all the syntax. Just follow all the syntax, but have this in mind. All those things are just different processes of how Git manages your file. What this class is offered back today is to expose all the things that Git is, so that you don't be thinking that Git is a magician. It's not a magician, just that it just help you to create a file. For example, now the file that we were working on before, if I go to that, this git.git repo now, sorry, I come here now, I say .git cd ls, you can see cd.git because it's already a Git repo. When I say ls now, you see, I have the hooks, the head, the index. If I say cat head, you cannot see now. We now have two, right? We have Solomon, right? We have stuff. I think among this file, there's something. Let me check. Okay. It's not in this config. Let me check this object. CD object. Okay. If I say ls, okay, we have all the packs, all the label, all the branches, all the stuff. Okay, now go back. ls. I think there's a place where this file is being kept. Okay, there's a CD hooks. Is hooks a folder? Yes. ls. All the samples, the commit message that I did, the post update sample, everything is here. Rebase sample, everything is here. Okay, let me go back. But you can actually open it, say cat, let's say commit. These are the sample. Test. So let me know. You can see they are all Linux scripts. Echo this, duplicate, sign off by line exit. So this is a little syntax that whenever you say git commit, that runs at the background that you're not even aware of. Control V, ls. So let's go to reference cd ref ls. You can see we have the tag heads ls. You see the two branches we created. You can see it came here and drop it here. We have the solo and we have the main. If I say cd, so main is not a folder, it's a file. I say cat main. See the commit branch, the commit message is here. Okay. I say cd dot. I say cat solo. Cat solo. Okay, wait. Ls is a solo then. Okay, I've left that file. Cd tags. I've not built any tags, so there's no tag. So there are two ways you can commit a file. You can commit it by tag, you can commit it by branch. So if you commit it to branch, it will save in this head. If you commit it by tag, it will save in this tag. So if I say cd heads, because now we're using branch, cd head, eads. I'm not inside that place. Where am I now? Cd dot. I'm inside stuff. Cd cat head. Let me head. Sorry. These are the two heads now. Card solo. a commit message and my commit ID for references. Okay, these are for references. Now let's go back. So you can come here and just explore. That's one of the reasons why I like engineering work, right? You don't just accept things like a myth, like maybe it's a mistake or some magic taking place. There's always a process. This, what I'm talking about here is the architecture of Git. Sorry. And these are the indexes. Some people may not know, some people have been using Git, they don't know that this thing exists here. So if I want to delete all the history of that Git, I don't need to delete the whole folder. What I will just do, I will just delete this .git. Maybe I delete this .git out of the folder, and I go to the remote and I remove it and I say git commit. Everything about Git with the history, everybody, people that are working on that file will be totally removed. So if you mistakenly download another code and you don't want people to trace that code, or you don't want that code to be communicating to the remote server, just remove .git out of it. That's all. That will be it. So if I say clear, you're not seeing that we have all the branches, they are all in heads. Let's go to the config. I've already talked about config. Which other part I've not talked about now? Let's say go to the logs, cd logs. Logs is a folder. You can see reference. So see the heads or the branches. We only have two references here. Cat, head. Let's look at all the things I did. The time I did them, they are all here. So in case somebody commits something and is denying that he did not commit anything, it's not the one that committed. You can see my email. So my details, the time I committed it, everything is here. So you don't let the person to be happy. Don't just keep quiet. Just pull the Git and go to your logs and edit. You just see all the logs like where you're the one that did this. If you are not the one, that means your system. Because anytime you commit to Git will take the ID of the person because you have to register with GitHub before you can commit on any folder. And the GitHub must authenticate your credentials. So nobody can, unless somebody else is using your system. That's why it's also good to always lock your system before you leave, so that somebody will not use your system to commit fraud and blame you for it. But anything that is done on your system, unless you have camera, you are on it because it's your personal system. So these are, okay, CD info, CD exclude, it's a folder, it's a file. Then git file, list, exclude, line, and hash. So if I don't want Git to monitor any aspect of my file, what I will do, I will do something, I will create a file. I told you what this thing is yesterday. So now we're back to the file. If I don't want people to, that dash means back, the lab that dash means back. So I just went back to two back to the folder, the main folder. If I don't want anybody to, if there's a thing I don't want this Git to manage, to monitor for me, I say, please Git, just when I'm giving you all these things, in this particular line, ignore it. I will create a file called git.gitignore. So it's called, I will say vim .git ignore. So this file, what will happen to this file is that with this file, anything I commit to that folder, if it's something that is very sensitive, you understand, it will not, if it's a folder, I will put slash before I type what I want to type. But if it's a file, I don't need to put slash. You just mention the name of the file. You understand? I don't want Git to, and everything I'm doing, I want Git to not to push it or not to monitor it. So all I would just do, I'll just mention the name of the file. Maybe I'll say, I can create a file now, just name it, let me say, name of the file, I'll just say Julius. I can say JU. I put white card. And say JU, put white card, meaning any file that has with start with JU, it will not monitor it. It will ignore it. You understand? So I can create a file here. I think we have fast spent. Let me just do this. And I think we should just create a GitHub account. Please pardon me, you are going to give me some time, little time more. And I call this Julius. .sh. Then I would say I create another file, call it James July.sh. So fine. Now I say Git status. You tell me I've added. You see, many things were there that I added, right? But you can see the only thing that he is interested in is the Git ignore. I say, okay, Git add Git commit -n add Git ignore. I close my stuff, I enter. If I say Git status, now if I say, now you can see at the end of the day, it did not add that SH. Because I've already mentioned it in that Git ignore that anything that starts with JU is not your concern. Don't bother. So if you go to that exception, I think it's going to be in the exception folder. Oh, sorry, I've come to. In that exception folder, that's where all the ignored things will be there. ls, so I say cd dot git. Where am I? Inside space now. Dot git. Am I in the right place? Okay, cd git. Let's say cd dot git. This is a folder. I say ls. I go to that exception. I think the exception is under. Exception is under. Was it under hooks or reference? Let me see. Cd info. Exclude. I say cd cat exclude. See everything said on line that start with hash a comment from the project C following the wood set and exclude pattern on comment them and then add them. Okay, this is just a regular or comment and exclude. You know, if anything you comment is actually not really a key stuff. So that's back. But one thing you should know about what a git ignore file is that git ignore file will automatically ignore everything that you created. You understand? Everything that you created, git ignore file will ignore it. It will not monitor it. It will look as, it will just give it a blind eye. You can see, despite I say ls, right? See, I say ls. ls. Sorry, you come on. Yeah. Okay, yeah. ls. You see, I'm saying ls, right? But you know, we have files here now, all right? We have how many files here? Or am I in the wrong folder? Oh, sorry. Am I in the wrong folder? This is the git. Oh. Let me add this to it. Add this to it because it's supposed to list here, no matter what. List it. Yeah, oh yeah, git add dot git commit minus m add ignore files. Say the commit is working tree. I say git status. Despite I added 2 files, it's telling me that there is nothing to commit because the commit is clean. Why? Is because I stated here in this git ignore file that anything that starts with JU, are you getting me? You should ignore it. So no matter what I do in this file, this git ignore file is actually used for maybe I'm testing the code locally. I want to create my database and I don't want people to know my credentials. I can put my credentials in a git ignore file. So I work, immediately I do git push or git pull, it will ignore that file. The same thing, if you also do it on your GitHub, it will also ignore that file. You understand me? So that's why git ignore is very important. It's also part of security. Now let's go to GitHub. Yeah, that's the last part of this class. But no, we are still going to address this class next week, maybe on Wednesday. That Wednesday, the assignment I'm going to give us now, on Wednesday or Friday, everybody, that's when we are going to practice it. You understand me? And I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to practice it very well. So let me go to my email. Stop sharing now. Go to my email, then authenticate. I enable 2FA, which is the best practice. So how do you create a GitHub account? It's very simple. I don't need to teach you that one. Just go to github.com and sign up a new client account. You just create it. So you don't need to, you can do that yourself. Just go to github.com. If you don't have an account, let me first of all authenticate here. Sorry. Am I sharing my screen? Okay, I'm not sharing. So I'm going to share screen in this stage. My authentication key. Hold on. Hold on. This is 725. I've not gotten the device verification code. The code will expire. Okay, I've not received this. I'm also receive it now. Hold on. So it's as simple as that. My verification code we send. My system is failing network. Okay, let me not use this to bother you. So a code will be sent to my email, and that code I will just use it to authenticate and validate. It's supposed to be 6 digits. Okay, we just send you an authentication via an email. And it will expire. So I'm not receiving this authentication code. Maybe my system is slow. Okay. So how do you create a GitHub account? The way you create a GitHub account is very simple. Just go to github.com and create it. Because next week, we're going to demonstrate Git branch, how to do a pull request, so that when somebody, a developer asks you to support them, you don't just go and be working on the main branch. Sometimes I'll be working on an application, nobody will even know I worked on it. I can decide to delete the branch. It didn't favor, or I didn't give me what I expect, what I was planning to do. I didn't get the kind of result I was expecting. I'll just delete it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
But this is my own GitHub account. I have like 2 or 3 GitHub accounts. This is my own GitHub account. So to create a GitHub account, let me sign out. It's simple, just go here, sign up. A robot, this is a robot to start asking you questions. Let's begin. Enter your email, put your email. Let's see, what's your email? What's my email? Let me put Sato and Patrick at Gmail. I know it does not exist, but I'm just creating .com. Go continue. We say I should enter password like that. You understand me? Ojuku. Stand. Say it's too weak. Make it strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very strong. Now let's continue. They'll now ask me, okay, enter my username. The name I want to call my GitHub. I'll call it 6TFE. Then continue. They will not tell me, would you like to receive product? You understand me? Just like that. And after that, you just get it, continue. If I say yes, why? So now tell me, okay, I want to confirm if I'm a human being. Say start puzzle. Say pick the identical object. Just to show that you are human. Are you getting me that you are not? This two is show 2 identical objects. This is the only identical object. Every other one is not identical. If I click that, give me on that puzzle, put out the identical object, this is identical object, and confirm my account is created. You say verify your account. An email has been sent to me. You understand me? That email, I have to put it here. But this account email does not exist, so there's no need for me to verify. So that's why I deliberately did that. But if they send an email to you, you go and verify, and you create. Meaning you finish creating, you're going to have an account like this. Sorry, don't need you. Sorry, I don't need you. I already have an account. No worries. Don't worry. I already have an account. I already have an account, so there is no need of that. So I have like 2 or 3 accounts. So this is how to create an account. When you're doing that, in the next class, we're going to be telling you how to also create. Remember, we just had to initiate Git. Now, how do you install Git? It's a simple thing. If you are using like Ubuntu, you can do it through your terminal. Sudo apt install Git, finish. Then after you install, you authenticate. Just normal sudo apt install Git, authenticate. That's all. What I sudo Git config. You just put your email the same way the email you use in creating your account, your Git account, the password you use, the same way you're going to use to authenticate, just to merge them together. So that is it. So we're going to be talking more about that next week. But now I want to share some things with you before the end of this class, or maybe later today. I'll share it with you. Just follow through that course and make sure that you finish all the syntax there. My own is to introduce you to the syntax. That by next week, we'll play with the syntax. It's not long, it's not much. They are not even up to 200. The line is not like Linux that is long, understand? But you know, the more you play with it, the more you understand what they are used for. Excuse me, I think I should just share it now. is not just one of the tools. Git is the main tool for even anybody. Git, if you if you don't, there's no training you will do now. If you don't have Git, you're just you must know Git. Git is a must. Git is not a suggestion. Git is a must, it's a must skill. It's a must-have skill. You understand me? Git is a must-have skill. And it's the simplest thing to learn. Just the way what I've just done now, there's nothing more bigger than that you need to know about Git. Apart from mastering all those syntax, rebase, create a branch, moving from one branch to the other, switching the branch, committing the branch, merging to the branch, making pull requests. So if you have any question, you can ask me now. So to install Git and everything that you need to know about Git, right, is in their official website, git.scm.com. Git, SCM means source code management. Remember, I just told you what the source code is. It's the code that everybody have agreed is working, is tested, and is being saved, right? It's a bunch of lines that is being tested. It could be a single line, it could be multiple line, it could be different line in different files. They are all source code. Understand me? It could be something that's a community designed, community source code. It could be an enterprise application. Maybe a company decide to design it and they are paying, anybody that want to use it will pay to use it. It's called enterprise source code. You understand? Or individual source code, or like what we just did just now. They are all source code, meaning they are the origin that I'm going to be working on top of it. Don't hear source code. Don't think that is one a big thing. It's just simple, but you can read more about source code. Now come here, you see how to install Git. If you're using Ubuntu, you can see how to install Git on Mac OS. This is how to install Git. All the Git symbols, how to authenticate. Understand? Everything is here. Then if you want to learn Git, you see everything is. What is it? You are using English. This is English. Everything about Git is here. Let's go to common creative or non-commercial shares. Getting started with Git, you can come here. We can see everything I was explaining to you just now, right? They are all here. So if you want to spend time and just come, there are many chapters. It's not much. It's not much. It's up to like, it's not even up to 10 chapters. Meaning 10 chapters. This is one chapter now. If I go to the second one, short story. This is the story, the history about Git. Go to next. You read through. Understand? All the everything that Git have to talk about is here. Understand? They make it available for everybody to use because they want everybody to learn. If you want to know the sheet, which is the aspect I want you to focus on, the sheet. Sheet means quick commands that you can quickly use. I think I will share that with you too. It's also in this Git site. You need it because everything I explained to you just now, if you read more, you're going to get more knowledge, more than everybody that came to class. But now I've given you the basic foundation, everything you need to know. So if you come here, you now, these are the people, they are the community. Git is a community, right? This is the community that provides Git. So any information you see here is direct from them. And every information you're going to get elsewhere, you're going to be coming from here. Go to git.scm.com. Okay, now let me go into another thing. Hold on. It's sheet. Hold on. Let me just share that with you. There's no certification for Git. Understand? But I can decide to give you certification, but you can decide to just finish your training and do a video. This is the entirety of all the Git command. You understand? But then you can add some liners to it and make it more elaborate. This is the entirety. It's here. It's also in the Git website. And the usage. Let me share the link with you. It's on education.git.com. Let me share it here. Share it here. And share it here. So you can decide to download it. I still use this Git sheet today because sometimes you want to do something, you know what you want to do, but you may not know the actual command, right? You just come here to stage, all the things I'm talking about stage just now, to reset. You want to know the difference between what was done and what is going to be added, Git diff. You want to commit, this is how to commit. The stage, different between what has been staged and what is available, use here. Even what's changed, but not staged. So installation is how to install Git, then Git setup, how to configure your Git with your repo that you created. Your remote repo is what you use. To start your Git, this is how to start Git. To create Git init, Git clone, the entire repository from the hosted location via URL. That's Git clone, Git branch, Git checkout, go to the second stage, then Git ignore file. You can see ignore file. This is for pattern. Git global core exclusion, temporary commit, Git stash list, stash pop, save, modify, and stage changes, list stack, order of stash file changes, write them, pop, element to stash stack. So just come here and just have fun. It's not much now. This one is not even as more as that of Linux training that we did. You understand? But if you look at the syntax, you know that they are actually an advanced Linux stuff. Not really an advanced, a Linux script that is dedicated to a particular application. You see branch, list, log. You're going to see ls, m, -m, and stuff. So please practice it. I beg you with God, practice it. Because in our next class, as we keep going, we're going to be carrying 112s along. Okay, I think we are done for today's class. Any question?